Hey, thank you so much. So good morning, everyone. My name is Elena Mackey. I work at the U of R for the Green Center for Career Education and Connections. In other words, I work for the university's Career Center. Just a little bit about myself. So my official job title is Career Advisor. I work primarily with college students, grad students, and people who have recently graduated from school, just to help them not only find jobs, but also figure it out what it is they want to do in life. So it's very exciting to be here with you today. I think we're going to talk a little bit about resumes. So give me just 1 second, I'll share my screen and we'll dive right in. Okay, thumbs up if everyone can see. It should be a green screen saying Resumes 101 presented by me. Awesome. Okay, so just a quick recap of what we're going to talk about today. So we're going to learn a few key terms for a job search. We're going to learn how to describe our skills and experiences. We're going to talk about how to write a resume and then just share a few tips, best practices for success on the job market. Okay. So as a career advisor, the question I most often get from students is, where do I start, right? So looking for a job can be a really daunting project, right? There are so many postings out there. A lot of job descriptions have like a laundry list of requirements and qualifications. It's hard to know where to start. And if you feel like you don't have as much experience as a job description is asking for, that can also be intimidating. So the goal of today's session really is just sort of to break down some of these common words and ideas and break down this job search process into more manageable, simple steps, right? So no matter what stage you're in, you can approach looking for a job with confidence and, feeling very patient. Okay. So let's start with these key terms. So let's define a few words you'll probably see on the job market. All right. So first, responsibilities. All right. These are things that you actually do on the job. So actual tasks, projects, etc. For example, if you're a teacher, right, your responsibilities include creating a lesson plan, presenting information to students, helping people who don't understand the material, grading papers, right? So those are responsibilities, very like literally, what do you do on your job? All right. On the other hand, skills, all right. The word skills can have a lot of different meanings. And we'll spend some time today talking about why skills are so important. For now, just know that skills are less about what you do and more about what you know or have or need to do your job well. So skills have a lot of things to do with knowledge and behavior. All right. Third word I want to go over is experience, right? Also very important on the job market, right? So experience can be basically any situation in which you've had some sort of responsibility or any place in which you've used your skills or you've gained new skills, all right? And a little bit later today, we'll talk about what counts as experience, all right? And then finally, we have the resume. So what is a resume? Simply put, it's just a document that summarizes your responsibilities, your skills, and your experience. So all three of these previous terms, all three of these play a role in the resume, right? It's basically a written document that gives employers a quick way to learn about you. I'm going to pause right now for questions. Can I answer any questions? And I'm sorry, I can't quite see everyone, but if anyone feels
You're showing your presenter screen. Sorry to interrupt. Rebecca just pointed that out in the chat. Is there any way you can make your like slideshow a full screen without showing us like?
Oh, I'm so sorry. Yeah.
No, that's totally fine.
Let's see. Let's see what
It's okay if not. I was just wondering.
No, I appreciate you saying something. So let's see. Gosh, thanks so much for saying something. Let me see if I can. Um,
That's okay if not, you can keep
I
going.
think I can do it now, but let me. Oh gosh. I'm so sorry.
No, no, you're totally fine.
Let's see, view. Control slideshow. Okay, I'm going to try this one more time. Sorry, folks. I'm going to go view. Does that work?
Perfect. That's perfect. Thank you so
Ah,
much.
we did it.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Okay. So pardon me while I skip ahead to where we were. Okay. So we talked about these key terms: responsibilities, skills, experience, and the resume, which summarizes all of these things. And I pause for a moment. I want to make sure. Does anyone have any questions before I move ahead? Okay. All right. So let's talk about skills, because these are a really critical thing, right? So remember, these are the things you need in order to do your job well. And there are different kinds of skills. Now, these different descriptions, they're not perfect terms, but I think they're really helpful. So sometimes people use the word hard skills to describe things that have been learned or taught, right? So hard skills rely on your knowledge and expertise on a particular subject. For example, if you use Microsoft Excel, if you have to make spreadsheets for your job, that counts as a hard skill because you had to learn how to use Excel, right? If you speak more than one language, that also counts as a hard skill, and that at some point in your life, you learned how to speak in, each language. Everyone with me? So I want to contrast hard skills with soft skills, right? Soft skills are different in that they might be taught, but most aren't formally taught, right? So these skills have a lot to do with behavior and character, right? For example, I have listed time management, communication, teamwork, right? Let's focus on teamwork. Very valuable skill, right? Getting along with other people, working together, sharing goals, sharing in success, right? Very, very valuable skill to have. You can't take a class on these things, right? There is no course that you can register for that says how to get along with people. I wish there was. I would actually recommend a few people for that course, right? But it's not something you can learn in the classroom. It's something you just sort of develop over time, right? You can't take a class on it, but of course, employers love to see that you have these soft skills, right? It means you're going to be a great person to work with and a great person to employ, right? Now, finally, let's talk about the idea of transfer, all right? The idea of transfer is this: the skills that you have in one situation, in one place, can also be used in another place. So we call those transferable skills, meaning they can be used in multiple or different scenarios, right? It's really that simple. So when you see a job description, right, and it's listing all of the qualifications they're looking for, most of the time employers aren't looking for a 100% perfect match, right? They're looking for someone who has these transferable skills that can be used in multiple situations. And the good news is everyone in this Zoom call has skills that are transferable, okay? Right? Now, you probably got a handout. It looks like this: soft skills, hard skills, transferable skills, right? Let's all take a moment to pull this handout out, all right? It just lists a few options, right? It's 2 pages, right? You'll notice there are so many different options, right? So you'll notice for soft skills, a lot of these really do have to do with behavior and character, right? Being friendly, right? Being patient, being talented, being trustworthy, right? You can't take a class on any of these things, but obviously they're really, really important skills to have, right? Just a few examples of transferable skills, right? Being able to express your ideas, being able to help others, taking initiative, Anticipating problems before they happen. That's a really good one, right? These are skills you can take with you no matter what your job title is, right? On the next page, when we talk about hard skills, right? Here, these are more related to job because you remember hard skills have to do more with knowledge and expertise, right? So let's say, for example, you're working in a job where you're doing a lot of sales work. Maybe you're working in retail or in the food industry, right? So developing, directing, making decisions, motivating, being organized, solving problems, dealing with a complicated schedule, being able to sell products, right? These are all hard skills. I'm going to pause again for questions. Again, this is not, a complete list, but these are just a few examples. Can I answer any questions about the difference between hard and soft skills? Okay. The point being is that you need both, right? And you need both hard skills and soft skills. And you need to be able to show that they can transfer from one situation to another. All right, I promise we'll get to resumes in a moment, but we have to sort of deal with the theory first. So let's practice a bit as a group. All right, so I just made up a person. So here's Ria. She is studying to be an accountant. All right, so she's going to school, and to pay for classes, she works as a manager at a local coffee shop. All right, so here are her job duties. She makes the coffee, she serves customers, she trains new employees, and she works with local bakeries to bring in the pastry. All right, let's use the skills worksheet. What skills does Ria need to do her job well? No wrong answers, all right? Review this worksheet. I'll just open up the floor if people want to call things out. Again, no wrong answers. What skills does she need to be a great coffee shop manager? Oh, I have something in the chat. Yeah, Richard is saying flexibility. Absolutely. In what way do you need to be flexible? Why is flexibility important? Also planning. Yeah, flexibility, planning. Yeah, especially if she has to train new employees, if she has to do the bakery orders, that takes a lot of planning, definitely. Flexibility in terms of if you're working with customers, some customers are easier to work with than others, so Ria has to be flexible. Other skills. Yeah, good communication, motivated, absolutely. Honest, yeah. Hardworking, yeah. Making coffee is no joke, especially when she's going to school part-time. Absolutely. A few more. Again, no wrong answers. Decisive, yep. Because she's a manager, she has to be in charge. Good. Maybe 2 or 3 more. What about some hard skills? Diplomatic, absolutely. She's working with customers. We've gotten a lot of soft skills here. Friendly, definitely. You want to be friendly when you work with customers. On the second page, these hard skills. Yeah, we've got one that says facilitate, right? What does facilitate mean? To be a facilitator means you're the person who makes sure the work gets done, right? That's what facilitation means. So as the manager, it's Ria's responsibility to make sure the new employees are ready to go. Yeah, organized, definitely. She's got a lot on her plate. She has people to manage. She has orders to manage. That requires organization. Good, good. Everyone feel okay about this sort of exercise of identifying skills? Yeah, counting money definitely has to get that right. Good. All right. So that's just sort of an abstract, sort of made up example. All right. Why don't you try it out on your own? Okay. So take a few minutes, right? If you'd like to scribble this down on a piece of paper, what I'd like is for everyone to think about a job you've had now or in the past. What were your job duties? And then using this handout, what skills did you need to do your job well? Right? Again, there are no wrong answers. The goal here is just to think about your past experience and learn about the skills that you already have that make you special. Okay? So why don't we take, I don't know, 3 or 4 minutes, right? Take a few minutes and then we'll come back together as a group and talk about our responses, okay? And I'll turn off my camera so it doesn't look like I'm like staring at you. No pressure. Again, no wrong answers. Right, let's take a couple more minutes just to write down your responses. Again, there's no wrong answers. This is really about you and your experience and what you think your strengths are. Okay, I've reappeared on your screens now. Let's talk about this. Would anyone like to volunteer to share their responses? If not, I can tell you about all of the gigs I worked when I was in college and bore you to tears.
We have someone, oops, I had like. Okay,
Okay.
when Faiza, come sit here. So they can look at you. Okay. Just, yeah, they can see you.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
So you want me to share the soft skills or everyone's, all the skills that I have?
Share whatever you feel comfortable sharing. First, could you tell us about your job, what you did?
So I'm doing a cleaning stuff in a hospital.
Okay.
Yeah,
Awesome.
and I got like self-starter, motivated, patient, friendly, hardworking, and honest.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you so much for sharing. And
Oh,
those are such valuable qualities to have. And I know employers would love to snap you up for that. Oh,
yeah,
thank you so
I
much.
got some like being on time, accept feedback, or that's it.
Okay. Thank you.
Those are so important though. Thank you so much. Thank you. Other volunteers.
We also have someone who works in the hospital cleaning. We said a lot of the same skills, but we also said punctual and works under pressure.
Works under pressure, absolutely. I bet it's a high pressure situation in a hospital. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because if you don't, if the hospital's not properly cleaned, then sick people get sicker. So it's such an important role to play. Absolutely. Other responses. Thank you so much. I hear from 2 more people.
We have another one, if that's okay.
That's okay.
Let me, you can, here, I'm gonna make you bigger for her, because that before it was just a little, there, does that make it easier?
Hello,
Hello.
I'm Paz. I'm an architect from Spain, and I work at the public administration in housing authority, you know.
Yes.
And I think the main skills I have to use or I have to improve in my job are inspect, because I have to do inspection of the quality of the building, you
Yep.
know, and innovate, report, and coach and lead, because we work in a team
Yeah.
and leading a team. So I think there are management skills that I have to use in my job.
I love it. I love it. Thank you so much. I completely agree.
Thank you very much.
Oh, these are all wonderful skills to have. And you all see, they come, even people with the same job come up with different responses for what skills or what skills set them apart. That's the absolute point of a resume, right? It's not just about describing what you do. It's also about understanding what makes you unique, what makes you a great worker, and explaining to employers why why you're the best person for the job. Okay, so we've talked about skills and experiences. We have a better idea of what those words mean. Now let's put it all together, how to write a resume. All right, so let's break this document down into its parts. All right, so specifics, right? Again, the resume should tell the story of you, but think of this as a piece of writing. It's a genre, right? Just like you would expect a news article to convey certain facts, you would expect a comedy article to sound a certain way. For a resume, there are certain things you really do need to include. All right, so most important thing is your contact information. You need to make sure that employers have a way to reach you. So your name, your phone number, your email. Please make sure this information is like up to date and you can be reached. All right. You also want to include information about your education. So whether you've completed a degree or whether you're currently working towards a degree, that's definitely something to include. And you want to include your graduation date. All right. Now we get to experience. All right. Experience is a very broad term and it can mean a number of different things. So what counts as experience on a resume? It could be a job. It could be an internship. It could be volunteer work that you've done. If you did a school project, you know, that's related to the kind of work you're trying to do, that counts as experience, right? If you have shadowed someone, meaning you have a mentor and you're working with them to learn about something, that counts as experience. All right. Now we want to include details about the experience so that employers will have a way to track that down. So things like the company, the location, the position titles, and the time at which you worked. All right. I know that's a lot at once, but here, I'll explain it. So my current job is a career advisor at the University of Rochester, yes? So I would, on my resume, say, I am a career advisor at the University of Rochester. The location, Rochester, New York. The dates, I started at the Career Center in April of this year. Everyone follow me there. Okay. For experience, you want to describe what you did and the skills you used. So we're talking about responsibilities and skills. That all falls under experience, and we'll look at a couple of examples in a moment, okay? Other skills, you might want to include a summary of your skill set. So in the same way that people earlier were saying, oh, I was helpful, I was a self-starter, I'm a good communicator, those are all things you can list on your resume. If there are any additional skills, you know, that you didn't list under experience, if you want people to know, hey, by the way, I'm a great team player, right? Or I'm always punctual. The resume is a great place to put that in. Okay. Now let's talk about formatting. Right? Formatting just means how the document itself is designed. All right. Formatting matters. Design matters, right? The analogy I like to use is always about like cooking, right? Let's say you prepare a delicious meal. It smells so good, right? And your guest comes in and says, wow, that smells delicious. Can I have some food? You say, sure. And you take a dirty chipped plate and you just pile the food on there. So everything's smushed together and it looks terrible, right? It doesn't matter if the food is delicious. If it looks terrible, your guest won't be pleased, right? So formatting the resume is about presenting the best version of yourself to employers, okay? Keep in mind that, again, this is a written document. Employers read resumes very quickly. So you want to design your resume so that it's easy to read, and even someone reading it quickly can see, oh, wow, this person's amazing. I should hire them. Everyone with me? Okay, so just a few tips to make your resume visually appealing. All right, so you want your name to be the biggest thing on the page, right? If you hand someone your resume, you don't want them to be looking for your name. Your name should be front and center. All right, you can use different things like bold font face, italics, caps lock to set information apart. All right. One convention when you are listing items for experience, you want to put it in reverse chronological order, which is a fancy way of saying the most recent item needs to be listed first at the top of the page. So if you worked a job in 2020 and you worked a job in 2021, 2021 goes at the top, 2020 below that. Okay, the margins of the page, you don't want it any smaller than 1/2 inch all around. If you're using something like Microsoft Word or Google Docs, the nice thing is it will automatically format it so things aren't taking up the whole page. Did I answer questions so far? I know these are a lot of do's and don'ts, but think of this as more of a resource. You don't have to have everything memorized today. You can go back and look for tips, okay? All right, these are a few do's. Let's talk about the don'ts. All right, so we want to avoid resume templates with 2 columns, right? The reason for this is if you're applying to a job online, usually the first step is actually a computer program that's scanning your document. It's not an actual human reading it. If you put more than 2 columns on the resume, there's a chance that the computer scanning it won't read it. And then your application gets tossed out, and that would be a real pity. So we don't want to have 2 columns on the page. We want everything to be sort of 1-page paragraph style. All right. You want to be careful not to go over 2 pages. Again, remember, employers are reading these very quickly. If you hand them a 10-page resume, they are not going to read all 10 pages. All right. Other things, and this is more formatting, we don't want to use unconventional fonts or tiny font sizes because they can be difficult to read. Colors or graphics can be very distracting. And in some cases, they can be inappropriate. And of course, errors in spelling, grammar, and syntax, right? We want this document, again, to present the best version of ourselves. We want employers to see that you are detail-oriented, that you're a strong writer. So whenever you're writing a resume, just do a quick proofread, have someone edit it, right? Just be careful, right? So let's look at a couple of examples because I know this is kind of abstract, all right? So you should have a handout that has 2 different resumes or 2 different people, right? 2 people, Steve and Hannah, okay? Steve's work is on pages 1 through 3. Hannah's work is on pages 4 through 7, all right? Now for each person, we see 2 different resumes. Same information, just 2 versions of the document, all right? Take a few minutes to look this over, all right? We're going to compare and contrast. In your opinion, which documents look better and why? All right. And again, while we're reading this over, I'm just going to turn off my camera so we're not awkwardly staring at each other. Right. So again, we're reviewing Steve and Hannah's work to see which resumes look better. All right, let's take a couple more minutes. These don't have to be exhaustive reads. Remember, employers read resumes very quickly, so I give you permission to also read very quickly, or just skim. All right, let's talk about Steve. So I'm just going to open up the floor for comments and feedback. What do you think of Steve's first resume? Anyone? Apparently his nickname is Jonesy. Any thoughts or opinions? This is, oh, here's in the chat. We felt it was ridiculous. The pictures are not good. It doesn't look serious. Yeah, these photos are these, the graphic art, it's not very great. Yeah, I love this comment. It doesn't look serious, right? It doesn't look like maybe Jonesy or Steve or whatever his name is. Maybe this is really a sincere effort, but it almost feels like he's making fun of this sort of professional game, right? All right. There's a little bit of experience here. Like for 2 years, Steve was a paper boy who delivered newspapers. I love that. I love that he has a picture for every school subject he did. So French, there's the French flag. Math, there's a calculator. Science, which he misspelled, there's a little beaker. All right, now let's compare that on page 2 with this other thing. Okay, now here we can see Steve is finally listing some of his soft skills. He's an excellent communicator with experience in customer service. He works well as part of a team as well as on individual assignments. And he would like a customer-facing role in the retail sector, right? So now instead of just saying he was the paper delivery boy, now we have some expansion. He's really describing what he did, right? He's also talking about something at Topman. You'll see he's listed his education experience a little bit differently. Key skills and achievements, interest and references. What do we think of the second version of the resume? Any thoughts? Got a thumbs up, taking that to mean it's an improvement?
Yeah, we felt this one looked more professional.
Absolutely more professional. And a lot of that honestly just has to do with formatting, with getting rid of, all of the graphics and weird fonts. Yeah, much better, more details, professional. Yeah, it's good. I love that. Yeah, this is a really strong resume. You notice Steve is the same person. He has the same experience and skills, but he's using his resume to put his best foot forward. All right, let's move on to Hannah. And I'm going to admit I had a hard time with the first version of this, which is on page 4. I'll just say personally with the font, I could barely read this. What do we think of Hannah's first resume? Olivia says, too many words. Yeah, it kind of reads like a journal entry. She's sort of written a paragraph for every single thing. Yeah, it is really hard to read. And a lot of that has to do with the font, the way the words are typed on the page. Yeah, wrong font. That's really funny. I kind of giggle at this example. I learned how to read and write. I also made a lot of really good friends who I'm still in touch with. I don't know if employers really care, right? Yeah, the text is all in italics. This is really hard to read. And I'm sure that Hannah is a very smart and qualified person, but because she's presented a resume where she's not really summarizing her experience, making it easy to read, making it clear what her skill set is, she's putting herself at a disadvantage, right? And the danger here is that as smart as Hannah is, as skilled as Hannah is, an employer might look at this resume and throw it in the trash. Other thoughts about this first resume? I want to go on tour with someone like Beyonce or Lady Gaga. Yeah, Martha says it's not chronological. That's a really, really astute observation. Good job, Martha. Yeah, there's no dates. It's just sort of talking. It really feels like a blog post or a diary. You know, these aren't meant to, a resume is not an essay, right? It's not a short story. So let's compare that to, oh, now we have something really clean, right? So now we have Hannah's contact information. We have her education, different courses she's taken. So it looks like she has a lot of experience with Microsoft Office, with presentations, with Office procedures. That's great information to know, right? She's still listing her education, but you notice she is keeping it brief, just summarize. She has a section called key skills. This is so helpful. So these are my Office skills. These are my computer skills. This is what I can do, right? These are all examples of hard skills in that she's had to learn Microsoft Word. She's had to learn how to use FileMaker. All right, now we get to work experience, right? Martha said the first one wasn't chronological. This one is. So we have the employer's name, Putney Nursery School, her title, office assistant. We know that she did this in the summer of 2012. And now she's describing what she did in a way that's easier to read. She has her achievements instead of writing in it as a paragraph. Yeah, easy to, I have a comment that says easy to read, good spacing, clear, specific language, and it looks more professional. All right. Now, I know we're being hard on Steve and Hannah. If it makes you feel better, these are fake people. They're completely made up. So it's not bullying if it's a fake person, right? This is really meant to be just an example of how formatting matters for a resume. The great news is there are actually a lot of online resources, resume builders that are free, where you can type in your experience and skills, and the program will format the resume for you. So you don't have to come up with your own template, with your own design. There are different ways of doing it. All right, can I answer any questions about Steve and Hannah? Or Steve? All right, so just some final thoughts. Okay, first, and I can't stress this enough, you have skills. Everyone has skills. Everyone is qualified for something. Everyone is talented at something, right? Use today's resources and exercises to practice describing what makes you talented, right? Be kind to yourself. You know more than you think you do. You're capable of more than you think you are. Don't be afraid on your resume to really say what makes you unique. Everyone has skills, all right? The purpose of a resume, right, is to tell employers why you're qualified for a job. Okay, so be confident when you're writing this. Have faith in yourself. You are qualified. The only job of the resume is to lay that out on paper for employers. Okay, the only thing I would say is just make sure your document is easy to read. I cannot stress this enough. Employers read these very quickly. So if they scan a document and see that it's sloppy, it's difficult to read, there are weird pictures over it, it's going straight in the trash. So do yourself a favor, make sure you have a very clean, professional looking document. All right. And finally, if you need help with your resume, ask, right? There are so many people and resources out there that can assist you, right? You can Google new words. You can have a friend review your work. I'm going to go to the next slide. I'm also available. I'll share my email address. So if you'd like to contact me with specific questions about your resume, I'd be happy to look that over. Please be in touch. I also have a link to the U of R's Career Center website. We have a ton of resources for writing resumes. We also have online templates that you can use. So you can literally just copy and paste your experience into the document and it's automatically formatted, ready to go. There are so many resources out there. I'm happy to help and be a resource. Please feel free to reach out whenever. Otherwise, I'll just pause one more time to see if anybody has any final questions. Doesn't necessarily have to be about resumes either. I'm happy to answer any career questions.
Okay, Alana, it looks like no one has any questions. Thank you so much for your generosity and for your presentation. This was really great.
Thank you. It was my pleasure. I hope it was helpful. Thank you all for your participation. You know, again, my email address is right here and I'm sure it'll be shared out. If there's anything I can do to support you or answer questions in the future, please don't hesitate to reach out. That's why I'm here.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
All right.
Taking a picture.